All right, welcome back. This is gonna be kind of a different video. We're not playing games this time. This time we're kind of setting things up to play a game. We're actually going to be playing Minecraft and releasing a Minecraft server eventually. We're actively working on it very vigilantly. So we have got some upgrades that need to happen. On our server, we run immersive railroading, and immersive railroading doesn't run on anything less than 3 gigahertz for processor speed. So right now what we're running on is 2.52 gigahertz, which is just not enough. So I actually bought some new CPUs. Hang on. Here they are, new CPUs. There's 2 of them actually, because the machine that I use to run Minecraft is 2 CPUs. And also, we got some thermal paste. So we'll be looking to install that. The other thing with the server is we're trying to make it as immersive as possible. So there's going to be lots of different services that we're going to have, as well as the ability to log in and have webmail and be able to, if the server goes down and I'm not around, we need somebody to be able to log in and restart the server, right? So we got to create user accounts for that. And, different businesses are going to need their own email address, and whatever else we can think of is going to have to basically run off of a Microsoft Windows server Active Directory in order to make that happen. And people are going to be able to VPN into the network to be able to access certain resources. But the problem is this is all running at my house. I mean, I don't want people VPNing into my home network, right? So not only do we have to get things ready for Active Directory, but we have to adjust the networks. That way it's all completely separated. And on top of that, I already run Active Directory on my home network, right? So we can't have 2 different domains on the same network nicely. So now we have to virtualize and separate lots of things. And quite frankly, my network infrastructure is not quite set up for that. And I have a graphic here that I will show in a little bit that kind of shows what the infrastructure looks like right now. And the last thing is we've been running into issues with power. It's kind of weird. I recently had an electrician come over and fix some overloading issues. We were frequently blowing the circuit breaker that the server was on because it was also connected to like half the dang house. So he came over and separated a lot of that, but the servers were shutting down very unexpectedly because when we run the washer and the sump pump and we have the heater on the living room, well, the servers are also on that same circuit. So a lot of that got separated, but just recently we had something happen to a utility pole down the road, and the lights flickered, and the servers went down for that too. And winter's coming up, right? So we're going to have people smashing into poles in the winter as they fly off the road, and that's going to affect our power, and who knows what else could happen. So as a result, I bought a UPS, an uninterruptible power supply, and I actually didn't buy it. I got one from a buddy who has a few in storage, and he just gave one to me, and I had to buy the batteries for it, and we have to get that installed and try to get the networking going for that, so that way if it goes on, and the server's public, and the power goes out for a second, we're not going to lose all the internet in the server and potentially corrupt the world before I can get a chance to shut it down. So we're going to have to set up something to alert me when that happens as well. A lot to do. It's super exciting, actually. I know it's kind of nerdy, but I'm finally to the point where I've ordered all the things. All the things have come in the mail, and I'm ready to get started. And I thought, why not document this? So I think this video is mainly going to be just the putting the UPS in. Probably going to be a video series. I'm not entirely sure. There is a lot that needs to happen, but we'll first get started looking at the current network diagram and how I intend on changing it and why it's a problem right now. So let us take a look. So we can see The, let me get a highlight on the cursor. Okay, I made the mouse really big, so hopefully that's easy enough to see. So the current infrastructure is quite simple. We have the internet coming in to our modem, which is supplied to us through our internet service provider. And then that makes its way to the router, where we have the printer. My computer is hardwired to the router. You got my cell phone as to this router. And then we also have an access point elsewhere in the house because this one router isn't good enough. We actually had to add another one. We have the bedroom laptop wirelessly connected, my wife's cell phone, our Roku stick, all connected to the access point. And then also hardwired to the main router, we have the web server, SQL Server, FTP, etc. Just one machine connected to the router. And then we also have ESXi connected to the router, and then running on ESXi we have the Minecraft server. So now what happens when I want to add a second virtual machine to ESXi, right? We'll call this the Mesa Brook domain controller, okay? And this is what everybody's going to access VPN through and do all of the tasks that they need to. And what happens then is if we were to do this, now they have access to the entire network through ESXi to the router, and now they have access to my computer or, the printer or all these other devices that I really don't want other people to have access to. Well, to do that, I have done a whole bunch of research, and I'm not saying I'm an expert on this by any means at all. This is just purely through what I've read, and what I think is going to work is we have to do something called a virtual local area network. And in order to do that, we're not going to be able to use the router here. The router just isn't going to work for what we want. So what we're going to have to do is kind of move things around a little bit. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move ESXi, Minecraft server, and the Mesa Brook domain controller over here. And it's going to overlap the router and everything. That's okay for now, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select the router, the printer, my computer, my cell phone, and the other server, and move that over here. And I'm going to just redraw this arrow quick, so this access point will still be pointing towards this router. Make this line normal again, like that. And now I am going to remove these hardware connections from the modem to the router and from ESXi to the router as well. Now we have this whole network of devices completely isolated from ESXi, which is good. That's what I was looking to achieve. But now the modem and the internet are also completely isolated from everything else. So what we have to do now is pretty much take this router out of the picture. I'm going to change this router here. We're going to make that just another, we're going to actually rename it, and we're going to turn this just into an access point. So this isn't a router anymore. This is just an access point. It doesn't do any routing functionality. So now everything's connected with no routing capability. So now we need a router. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to create another virtual machine. And we're going to call this one pfSense. Some of you may have heard of it. Some of you may have not. It's essentially just a operating system that is a router, if that makes sense. So it's just a very high-end router that takes an entire computer to run, or in this case, a virtual computer. And I'm going to also be running that on ESXi. So change that to that. There we go. pfSense is running on ESXi. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take the modem and we're going to connect it to one of the network ports on ESXi. So change this back to this line. And what that's really going to do is it's just going to send it directly to pfSense, okay? and this is going to be our WAN, or our wide area network. Okay, so we have our wide area network connection on one of the ports on the ESXi machine. Now, since the ESXi machine actually has 8 different network ports on it, we're going to use another one of those network ports, and we're going to point that network point to the access point that used to be the router. Actually, this should go the other way, right? So the access point is now plugged into ESXi, and the modem is also pointed into ESXi. So ESXi has a nice feature called a virtual switch, and that is going to pretty much act like an access point, or one of these, like a modem or something, where it's going to be able to figure out where and how to send connections out to everything. So pfSense virtually is going to have a connection back to ESXi called its LAN, okay? That's going to be the only thing that's on this type of connection here, on this virtual connection between ESXi's virtual machine and itself. Its virtual switch, if you will. And then what it's going to do is it's going to say, all right, all of the Minecraft items are going to be on its own virtual network. So in this case, we'll call it VLAN 2 for both of these. And then everything else that goes off to the right here is going to be on VLAN 1. So now we have our router, which is pfSense, that now knows to route anything Minecraft related over to VLAN 2, and then everything else on this other network to VLAN 1. So now these are completely separated, yet the same, if that makes any sense. So I know that's a little confusing. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it too, but this is my preliminary plan. Again, I'm not an expert in any of this, but this is what I'm going for. But before we do any of that, I think the first thing we need to do is make sure that our power is stable. So let's hop out of this environment and let's go for a walk. Now, unfortunately, my microphones are dead, so we're just going to have to deal with camera audio, but that should be okay. Next time it should be better. Now, I've actually already done one of these batteries here, and it really was about as easy as it looks. I mean, it's just 2 battery cells that are effectively double-sided taped together, and they have a bridge across on both sides, and then just a cable that comes out. So let's go grab the other one. So here we are down here. This is got a drum set over here and some guitars here, but this is the UPS right here. We're going to have 2 of those battery packs that slide in here, and then all the power for all these servers behind a curtain over here will be powered off of this. So when the power goes out, such as flipping this light switch down, because we have great wiring here, and if you turn the lights off, turn the servers off too. So good way to test the UPS, I guess. Anyway, I believe this is the old one that we're going to need, and let's take it upstairs, so we're going to have to take some parts off it. Oh, we're also going to need to bring these batteries up as well. We also can't forget hardware. Going to need that. Now, before we head upstairs, I'm sure you kind of want to know, where are the servers? Well, behind this curtain right here, we got modem, we got the first router that we saw in the graphic, we got a screen to access everything. This is the first server, it's actually a desktop, but runs the web server, runs SQL, runs FTP, runs all the stuff. And then down here is the ESXi machine. Pretty cool, huh? I know this isn't a workshop, but the kitchen table is going to do just fine. So, getting our stuff organized here. Here's the model. That's what we need to build. This is what we got to scrap. And this is what we got for parts. Let's begin. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking the pieces off of the old one that we're scrapping. So you can see the cover already came off this one. We're going to need that. It looks like none of the double-sided tape came off either, just some old, very old residue that I frankly don't really care about because these are just covers. And this one came off pretty easy too, as you can see. This double-sided tape holding these on. So you can kind of see the anatomy of what we're trying to build here. We got our old connector here, which is connected to the positive and negative on one end, and it's bridged using, looks like something very generic from Menards. And I'm going to try to take careful note that we have the bolt head on the outside, we have a washer, then we have the post, and then we have the bridge, followed by another washer, and then the nut on the back side. So, I'm gonna just start by taking things apart. I think I'm going to do the connector side first, and I'm going to do the negative side. So I'll hold that with my finger if I can. There we go. Just spin that off. And take the bolt out, and that's one connector free, and I'm just going to connect this. Try not to hold the screwdriver and try to do this at the same time. That's somewhere. Take the negative out of the way, we don't want to connect the negative to the positive. These batteries are dead. The power supply or the UPS wouldn't even hardly run them with them in, so they're pretty shot. There's not much charge left, so I'm not too worried about these, but the brand new ones that I expect are either half charged or fully charged are the ones I'm worried about being shocked on. Alright, our connector is free. And we'll put our bolt back on the nut. Okay. Get our connector out of the way. Now we will do the bridge, and it doesn't really matter which side I do this again. I'm going to try to break it free and then hold the nut on the back. And it's easier to spin the nut than it is to spin it with a screwdriver. Screwdriver is just to break it free, really. And connect that again. And lastly, this one free. Hold the nut, run it out, and spin it off. Perfect. And now I got my bridging bit. This is actually different than the one that was on the other one. The other one had another hole in it. It was kind of more of a bracket to hold things, like not batteries together, but like, you know, pieces of wood or something. So this is a little different. That's okay. As long as it's metal and conducts electricity, that's all we really care about. Oh, and it's thick enough too. Alright. And that's it. That's all we really need for our scrap battery. We got more hardware. Got tons and tons of hardware. Bridge over by our connector. And we'll bring in one of the new batteries. No extra hardware in either one of those. Okay, so as we can see, these are two 12-volt batteries, and again, I'm not an electrician. I could be completely talking out my butt here, but I believe this, when you bridge them, you get 24 volts, but again, I don't actually know what I'm talking about, so. Yeah, here I am playing with two batteries that are going to be providing a lot of power to service for roughly 12 minutes. So now, the other ones, obviously, here, let me show again. What we're trying to do is put them together like this, right? We got two batteries that are together, but obviously these are apart. So what we're going to have to do is take some double-sided tape and run it right about the length of on one side here. And take my scissors, cut this section, and stick it on like so. Okay, and I'm going to do just the same thing on the other side. Not that long. Take my scissors, cut, and stick it on the battery. Okay. Now, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to struggle for the next 10 minutes trying to get the backing of these double-sided tapes off. So, enjoy the time lapse. Okay, well that wasn't so bad. It wasn't as bad as some double-sided tape I was working on before. Okay, so when we put these together like so, and I'm not going to do it yet, I learned my mistake before when I did this. We're going to want the positive to go to the negative, and then on the other side it's also going to be positive and negative. Now, normally I was actually very uncomfortable the first time I did this because my brain automatically thinks that positive and negative should never go together. Like that's going to cause it to spark and explode, right? Well, it didn't because they're two different batteries. So it's actually safe as long as you know what you're doing, apparently. And that's not me. Okay, I'm going to use some of the hardware that I was given for these. And we're going to do a bolt, put a regular washer on, and then I'm going to just put this out of the way for now, and I'm going to run the bolt in to the other side, like so, and then on the back side, while I hold it, I'm going to put one of these lock washers on. That, and one of these nuts. Get it started. I can see about as well as you can right now, so it's kind of tough to see. There we go. I got one of these nuts started, and you can see these bolts here are Phillips head, and I believe the nuts are 8mm. So I have an 8mm wrench, and I have a Phillips head screwdriver. And I'm going to put the 8mm wrench on the back. And I'm going to tighten the screw just a little bit, not a whole lot, because I'm going to want some play in this, which I might have done too much already. But I'm going to want a little bit so that way when I'm connecting the second battery, which I know what to do now, it's going to be easier for me. So now this is the part where I got nervous, right? The negative coming out with this bridge, and now when we touch the positive, hopefully nothing happens. No, I'm just kidding. When I did that, I just stuck the double-sided tape together. So we'll the exact same thing. We got a nut, or I'm sorry, a bolt with a flat head, with a flat washer, sliding it through. And then on the back side, I'm going to put my locking washer. And I'm going to put my nut on, like that. And again, it's kind of hard to see, but that's what we got. And I'm just going to flip it around because this would be a lot easier. Now I'm going to put my wrench on, grab my screwdriver, and tighten the bridge up on both sides. So. It's tight. And go over on the other side. And tighten this up. Now I can push these together with the double-sided tape, so that way it's now one unit. Okay. Now it's time to put the connector on. So we can see black, it's actually going to go like this. Black goes to black, red goes to red. And we'll actually want these inside, almost touching each other. I was a little nervous about that too. Fun story, I was electrocuted as a small kid, and ever since then I've had a fear of electricity, which includes wall outlets, right? Batteries, battery chargers, anything that has the transfer of power in my hand, I am not a fan of. Specifically because the electrocution happened on my hand, and I still have scars to this day. You see it, but right there in my palm, there. Fun stuff. Okay. So following the normal flow of things, I'm going to do the positive first in case there ends up being a short in here, which I highly doubt it. I mean, these are very much separated in this connector here. So we're going to do the same thing we did before. Take our bolt, flat washer, put that through. Now the bridge one on the back side, this time I'm going to actually just put the connector O on this end, and put it in like so. And then we'll put our lock washer on, hold it in, get our nut started. It's righty tighty, lefty loosey, right? Though, because I'm looking at it backwards, it's actually going to be lefty-loosey from, or lefty-tighty from this end. And just like we did before, I'm going to get it started. I'm going to make sure I don't touch that negative post. Tight. Now these have a tendency to move when you get them tight, but it looks like this one's doing pretty well. It might not have that issue. Alright, last bolt. Take our bolt, take our flat washer, connect this. This is where it gets hairy for me. Bend that wire out of the way. Run that in. And put our lock washer on. Start the nut. Spin that to the left. I think the most nerve-wracking part is over. I hope. flash on and tighten it up with the screwdriver. On the batteries, the warning specifically says do not short circuit batteries, and I feel like that's a good word of advice in general with electrics, but I guess some people need reminders. Alright, last thing to do now is to put these covers on. And like I said, there's junk on here, but it's really, I think it's just more of a fascia, and just so that like this, you know, the posts don't make any contact with the case of the battery backup. So I don't know, it really does, it's light plastic, you know. So what I'm gonna do with this is I'm going to take a thin strip, just a real short piece, don't need to be long. Cut that, like that. And then with this piece, I'm just gonna cut it in half again. You know, this double-sided tape is pretty expensive. No, just kidding. I mean, it is expensive, but that's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because that's the way it was done when I pulled it off. And put the double-sided tape. And on that. Push it down like so. We'll time lapse again. This is where I had troubles with last time. We were going to have to do this 4 times, so here we go. Got one. Alright, got 2 on. Boy, I can't wait to do that again. Alright, bring our battery pack back over, and because this side sketches me out the most, just going to do this. So I'm going to fit the 2 wires in between the notch here. And place that down like so. And lastly, let's do the second one. So another piece of tape. Cut it. Okay. And that piece of tape, we'll cut it in half. Hot dog style, not hamburger style. Cut it like you're gonna fold a hot dog. Side note, I really don't like hot dogs. My wife couldn't believe it when I told her that I didn't like hot dogs. But yeah, I don't. I like brats. Brats are the way to go. If you're gonna eat something in a hot dog bun, it better be a brat. I mean, I guess you can do beef, but I won't be eating a hot dog with a hot dog anytime soon. Alright, here we go. Another time lapse to take these off. That one was easier. There we go. Now we got both of them off. So there's our cover. And we're just going to do the same thing, notch on the outside. Bring this over. And place it on the battery like that. Now, if we take a look, we have got 2 battery packs all set to go. I'm not going to install these right now, and that's because, first of all, it's 8:30 at night, and while that might normally be the perfect time to do network updates on a normal network, it's not necessarily the case when you're running a Minecraft server. And that's because generally this is the time that people are playing, and I got other things to do yet tonight, and ultimately it's going to require taking everything down, right? And I gotta, well, you'll see in the next video when we actually get these batteries installed in the UPS. So yeah, that's all I got for now. Next time, should be waking up at the wee morning hours of the weekend, because that's what we like to do on our weekends. Alright, thanks a lot, everybody. Oh, and if you wouldn't mind, if you like this kind of thing, let me know in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll see if we can do more videos like this, more gaming videos, mainly Minecraft, because that's really what I'm into right now. And make sure you hit the like button, it really helped me out, and share with anybody you think might want to watch this kind of thing. So, alright, see you later.